Welcome to the program, everyone. My name's Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Well, as always, we got a lot to cover. You know, every day of Trump's second term is just massive news. So each and every day, we are blessed with an overabundance of news stories. But of course, I'm going to talk about this story with Letitia James and the mortgage fraud, which I'm going to get to in just a minute. And this criminal referral, we had a lot to cover. This is just one. But this criminal referral of the mortgage fraud allegations by the Trump administration towards Letitia James, this is huge. And I'll tell you, it's huge for a number of reasons. One, she's done some pretty serious financial crimes here that should end very well, will end up with her in a white-collar prison. Maybe she can get Martha Stewart's old cell. But she has committed a major financial crime, and it's pretty much the same crime that she falsely accused Trump of. And I know a lot of people are saying, because I see this from people, and a lot of people, they get in these bubbles and they lose perspective of things. And a lot of people are saying, well, you know, this mortgage fraud story with Letitia James, we've known about this for quite some time. You've known about it, and I've known about it. But most people that heard this story yesterday, and it's a lead story today of Letitia James and the mortgage fraud, it is new to them. It is news to them. They have not heard this story. Not only have they not heard the story, it's being publicized in mainstream media outlets, even liberal ones. So Letitia James, she's still going after the Trump administration, right? I was talking yesterday. She announced day before yesterday, she's going to investigate the president and his administration to see if they had any insider trading going on during the trade wars with the markets going up and down, which is insane. And now that's why this is coming up. So let me go through this. Fox News reporting, here's the headline. Trump administration refers New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution over allegations of mortgage fraud. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been hit with shocking allegations by the Trump administration, accusing her of mortgage fraud. And another problem that Letitia James has with this is that there are documents that show all the fraud. So these documents, she can't say it didn't happen. She falsified the documents, and the documents are now out there. In documents obtained by Fox News, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, sent a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, that's Pam Bondi, accusing Letitia James of mortgage fraud yesterday. The Federal Housing Finance Agency director said in a letter to Pam Bondi, Letitia James appears to have falsified records to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. So that's mortgage fraud. He cited a property in Virginia that Letitia James allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of 5, which he said could mean she was able to get a different and more favorable loan. But it gets worse. Okay? Jonathan Turley said the irony of Letitia James getting accused of falsifying records is pretty crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping the label off a mattress. No doubt about that. And among the changes that were brought in New York, in just the civil but the criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions, Jonathan Turley said. As for Letitia James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. That's according to Turley. He explained the Trump administration is saying this was not her principal residence because as a New York elected official, she has to say her principal residence is in New York. So there's all kinds of fraud going on here, not just the mortgage fraud, but maybe some state tax fraud going on with the property taxes. Now, this is when it gets really crazy. Now, remember, you may have heard about this story a few months ago. I heard about it a few months ago, but most people didn't. So this next shocking part, Letitia James is, now again, this is a criminal referral that's been sent to Pam Bondi. Letitia James is, there's nothing worse than a bad cop, and the Attorney General of a state is Chief Law Enforcement Officer. Letitia James is also accused of saying her father was her husband to file as a married couple, Jonathan Turley said, and he's examined the documents. So these are printed hard copies of documents that show all of Letitia James's fraud. The Supreme Court stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowingly false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements, Turley said. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or not. Either you're married to your father or he's your father. The Department of Justice and Letitia James did not respond for comment. The issue has been prosecuted in the past, but as Turley said, the documents themselves are quite damaging. The story first was reported just over 2 months ago, but it was in like Breitbart. It was in conservative media. Now it's made it in the mainstream. See, this is amazing because, Letitia James, who's obviously insane. I mean, if you see the look on her face, she's completely insane. But she thought Trump, like the rest of them, was going to be locked up. Certainly not in the White House again. I mean, it's still hard to believe that he's back in the White House, isn't it? It really is. I mean, you follow it. It's crazy. After everything they put him through, after everything they've done, after the mugshots, the assassination, and everything, and here he is back in charge. So not only is Donald Trump back in charge, unlike the first term, he's got a perfect cabinet of MAGA loyalists who are as upset about these things as you and I are. And the Trump cabinet are not your typical Washington cabinet types. And what I mean by that is they're not Washington insiders. They're all disruptors. So they're not worried about getting invited to the cocktail parties. They're not worried about being friends with this Washington insider or that Washington insider for their next job in the next administration. They are MAGA people whose future is in the MAGA world, which means they will not be covering up. These are not their friends. These are their enemies. They're not going to be covering up for Letitia James and others. And I'm hoping that Letitia James is the first because she is one of the worst. I mean, there's nothing worse than a corrupt prosecutor, a corrupt cop, or a corrupt attorney general who's misusing illegally their authority to persecute innocent people, which is what Letitia James did. That whole case about the property value at Mar-a-Lago, and she went to court acting like she was Rosa Parks, sitting there staring at Trump, trying to pose for a magazine cover. She thought she was posing for a historical photograph. And the reality is Letitia James looked as stupid as those idiot women on the Blue Origin penis rocket coming off like they just landed on the moon or something. So Letitia's in big trouble. And, Pam Bondi is also under pressure to have a high-profile case because people are losing patience. Dan Bongino released another statement yesterday, said we're working on a lot of things. Don't let this inaction make you think nothing that you're seeing publicly means there is inaction. There's a lot going on. But Pam Bondi is under pressure to produce something from these lawfare people. And Letitia James is a perfect person to start with, especially when this is one of those low-hanging fruit things because there are documents. And there's no question it's fraud when she's claiming her father is her husband, unless she's guilty of, those kind of terrible crimes too. I don't know. Now, I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts on this. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number's toll free, no matter where you're listening. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're on hold, stand by. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I've been up for pretty much a day. My wife had to go to the hospital last night, so I really didn't get any sleep. My wife has pneumonia. So I've been up for pretty much a day. I got a couple hours of sleep, but not enough after being up like 20 hours, right? Now, I was about to go to bed when I had to take her to the hospital. Oh, that due process talking point. The guy had due process. He was in front of 2 immigration judges. I mean, what do you want? The court's never to end, just go around and around forever? Democrats and their stupid talking points. We'll be back in just a few seconds. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free. It is pinned in the live chat. So if you're watching live, you can call in toll-free. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. It is Wednesday already. Can you believe it? Oh, man. Oh, boy. And we are celebrating what very well may be the first arrest, the first prosecution of the lawfare criminals, and that's Letitia James, who has been referred to for criminal prosecution to the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi. So we're very excited about that. Some justice being done. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning
hey,
to
Richie.
you, Brian. I listened to this beautiful prosecutor they got in New York, Letitia.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Attorney General.
And I'm going to say it the way it. Yeah, I want to say I'm going to be a little controversial, and I'm probably going to be called a racist. I hope I don't step on anyone's toes. But she is a black militant racist who is supported by black militant racists who gets in front of a black militant church with a black militant Reverend Sharpton and has everybody oohing and ahhing on a Sunday with her big mouth.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is she's a racist and went after Trump because Trump
But you know, I'll tell you, you're right about all of that. Sorry about that. And, you know, there's another thing about Letitia, Richie. You know, since she graduated law school, and you guys can research this on your own, her first job was for legal aid. She's done nothing but work for the city of New York. Yet she's a millionairess. She's worth millions of dollars. So I'd like to know how someone who did not come from family wealth, she's got no rich husband, She works for the city of New York her entire life, but she's worth millions of dollars. I'm curious how that happens.
Brian. 15.
15, yeah, and I'll tell you. You with me, Richie, or did I lose you? No.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
I'm getting
this
feedback.
is this.
Can I call you back later?
No, just hold on a second. It's me. My phones are ringing off the hook. It's me, not you. Letitia James. Okay. I've seen the document. She wrote on a mortgage document that her father was her husband. That alone is enough to send you to prison. Falsifying a mortgage document like that.
Well, I got to say this. I mean, she was put up by Soros. She's a Soros prosecutor. New York City is controlled by black militants. I hate to say it, but it is. If you take a look at and she's voted in because they're basically black militants, and Trump got convicted because they're basically black militants. They hate Whitey, and that's a fact. And yeah. I know this guy Jay from Jersey is going to call up, but it's too damn bad. I tell it like I see it. And it has nothing to do with me being, they'll turn it on me saying I'm a racist. The fact is, you see what goes on in New York City. And then they finally went in after their own mayor, for God's sake, because he decided to play ball with Trump.
Yeah.
These people are devious. They hate white people, and people. I mean, this is what happens when you give a black woman the power.
Then when she goes to white collar prison, she's going to be miserable because white collar prison is mostly white. It's not going to be all right. Our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I got a question for you. How can you support a dictator like Donald Trump?
A dictator.
How can you support a dictator like Donald Trump who's just destroying
America? Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me interrupt the prepared statement. You asked an interesting question. You said, how can you support a dictator like Donald Trump? Now, I'm under the understanding that in November, Donald Trump won a national election, and he won every single battleground state. What about Donald Trump fits the definition of a dictator? He just won the national election. Hello, McFly. He hung up. Okay. I thought I was going to learn something. Maybe break some news and go viral or something. Because he has some information that President Trump is a dictator. I don't know. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Montana Mark.
Oh, hey, Mark.
You know, listening to what Letitia James did was just sick, you know, using her father as her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if Trump did just one little thing like they did, all the fake...
Now, by the way, hold on, Mark. That dictator caller, he hung up. I did not disconnect that caller. I was very prepared to have a extensive conversation with him, but he hung up on me. All right, go ahead, Mark. Sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want people to think I hung up on him because he was trashing Trump. He'd still be on the air if he didn't hang up. All right, go ahead, Mark. My apologies.
You know, Trump has done nothing wrong, just trying to do the good for America and the people. And if he would have done something a little bit like these people, the fake news ratings would be going 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, with what the Democrats are doing, all these attorney generals, DAs, and judges, I'm wondering what mental institution they broke out of, because they just are doing so much wrong things against Trump. It's just...
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know what? Look, he's back in the White House. He's got the American people on his side.
We got the new sheriff in town.
That's right. All right, Mark, take care. Absolutely. Yeah, if you'd like to call in, please do. Now, you know, you don't have to agree to call. I'm always open to hear the other side. Maybe you'll wake me up on something. Now, I do want to remind you, there's a couple of incredible deals going on right now at MyPillow.com, courtesy of the great Mike Lindell. With our promo code Kane at checkout, KANE. There's two sales in particular that you don't want to miss. These are very limited time sales and incredible deals. But you can use our promo code Kane on all the specials at MyPillow.com. The first is the Percale bed sheets. Any size, any color, just $25. That includes the twins and every size all the way up. Queens, kings, split kings, even California kings. Any size, any color for just $25 with our promo code Kane at checkout. There's 11 colors to choose from, but when they're gone, they're gone. So this is a limited time special, okay, with our promo code Kane. And remember, it's free shipping on all orders with our promo code Kane at checkout. The second one is Mike Lindell has a new energy drink. It's called Rev 7. It's a premium energy drink. It tastes great. Gives you all the energy you need all day. There's no sugar, no caffeine, so you don't get the jitters or those crashes that you get with a lot of other energy drinks, okay? And he's got an incredible offer right now. Mike Lindell, for a limited time, is offering the introductory 3-pack of his new energy drink absolutely free, okay? So go to mypillow.com. You'll see both of those specials there with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. You can also order by phone toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. All right, so this mortgage fraud of Letitia James, this story is a massive story. I think she's likely to go to jail over this, federal prison over this, because these are federal crimes across state lines involved. It's with the Attorney General, and these are major, major financial crimes. And, you know, she went after Trump on mortgage fraud, which he obviously did not commit. And Letitia James, and everything's documented, was bending over backwards to get these things, lying about the number of bedrooms, saying her father was her husband, you know, all these things. These are hardcore financial crimes that are way up there in the dollars because these are major mortgages. She also lied about her primary residence, which could be tax fraud at the local level. I mean, there's a lot of crimes here. And it's not surprising to me that she went after Trump with these falsified mortgage fraud charges because, remember, rules for radicals. Saul Alinsky, accuse your opponent of doing what it is that you are doing. So she's accusing him of doing what she's actually doing, mortgage fraud. And it could not. I think she's the perfect person to start with. I really do. And, you know, when you see the look on her face, which is complete insanity, she's completely nuts. I mean, you see it in her face. She's crazier than Newsom. She really is. You can see the insanity in her face. So because she's so out of it and arrogant, she may be completely fearless so far as a prosecution goes. But no, she knows she committed the fraud. Now, she may think she'll get away with it because she's a black female Democrat from New York. But no, those are not the people running the country anymore. This country is being run by a law and order crew, and the Justice Department is being run by a tough prosecutor. And I would imagine, as a former state attorney general herself, Pam Bondi must be just completely disgusted by the corruption of the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, here. Because when you hold that office, you got to hold yourself up to the highest standards, not going out there and committing these major crimes that send everybody else to prison. All right, now we're coming up on our bottom of the hour break. Your calls are certainly welcome at 1-888-465-2631. You know, Letitia's big problem here is everything is documented because these were falsified mortgage loan documents she filled out. So there's hard evidence of all of it. Big trouble for her. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. You're on hold. Hang in there, guys. We'll be back shortly. Chris, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes, how the tables have turned, Chris. No doubt about it. Yep. The tables have turned. I'd like to start with Letitia, though. So you got to start with one. So you got to focus. Let's see. We'll be back in a few seconds. It's our bottom of the hour break. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We are celebrating the first of the lawfare criminals being brought to justice. Letitia James, referred to Attorney General Pam Bondi in this major mortgage fraud case. We'll go back to the phones. Our number toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Gail, and I'm calling from Kansas.
All right, Gail. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I've tried to tell you before. Letitia James robbed the Irish Historical Society.
Oh, no.
And it had something to do with undervalue of some property that belonged to the Irish Historical Society.
Uh-huh.
But she robbed them for a lot of money, and it had something to do with a wealthy Georgia businessman. I don't recall his name, but I do know it had to do with the Irish Historical Society of New York.
Well, maybe that'll come out.
She robbed them for a lot of money.
Well,
and
maybe
it should be investigated.
Well, this is what you do. We've got hardcore documents of enough mortgage fraud to put her in prison for a long time, right? So, you don't want to get... all right, I appreciate the call. You don't want to get sidetracked on a bunch of other things. You've got evidence. You've got hardcore documented proof with her signature. You go after that. You don't start... You got to focus in to get these people locked away. If you start getting all over the place, you lose focus, and that's how they win. It causes confusion. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, good morning.
Yes.
Oh, hi. This is Joan from Tampa Bay.
Hey, Joan.
In order to be the AG in New York State, your state of domicile has to be New York State, but she filed domicile in Virginia. So she is ineligible to be the AG in New York State.
Yeah, that's what the referral says.
So actually, she's serving an office that she's serving illegally. I mean, she can't be there.
Well, she may lose that job. I mean, the problem she has is that these are documents that she signed, right? And that's going to be what really does her in, because her signature in this thing about the father being her husband, that's clear cut, and that's where she's going to run into a lot of trouble, because that was purposely done for loan fraud, mortgage loan fraud. These are major financial crimes. I think there's a over 90% chance she goes to prison over this. I really do.
But she's serving an office that she's not really allowed to have because her domicile is Virginia.
Well, yeah, so she may find herself out of office. I don't know. I don't think Governor Hochul is going to pursue that because she's a Democrat and supports, Democrat criminals. But I don't know what the process would be to remove her from office. It seems to me it'd have to come from the governor, and Governor Hochul's not going to do that. That's what I was talking about, guys. You've got to, we've got her caught red-handed, right? We've got these mortgage fraud documents, multiple instances of mortgage fraud. You got to focus in on that. Now, these other things may come up in the course of the investigation, may come up in the court, may come up in a grand jury, may come up in a trial, but you've got to, you want to stick with what you have evidence of. And these documents, you can't refute them. She signed them. So we got her.
Right.
We caught her red-handed. So if you get involved with the Irish or this thing with Governor Hochul, you that's how you start to lose. It confuses the issues and dilutes what we got the evidence of.
But the evidence is she signed domicile in the state of Virginia.
Well, what's the process to remove her? Through the governor's office. Do you think Governor Hochul is going to pursue that?
I don't know.
No, of course not.
She's illegally holding office.
That's true. That's right. She is. I mean, and that's an interesting thing because if she is illegally holding the office of Attorney General, what does that mean, right? Does that mean that these prosecutions will be tossed out because she never legally held that office? It's quite possible. This is like Christmas, man. This is Christmas, Easter week. It's kind of like an Easter gift. This our little Easter basket is getting Letitia James. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's your favorite caller, Brian from Philly. How you doing, man?
Brian from Philly. I really don't remember you, but I did. So to say you're my favorite caller.
Well, of course. So I feel like the last time we talked, we left off on the wrong foot, so I wanted to pick up where we left off.
I don't remember. I don't remember talking to you.
Oh yeah. Well, let me refresh your memory. I was just asking you a simple question, man. What do you think of the Fifth Amendment?
I support all of our amendments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Fifth, you like that one?
What against self-incrimination? I don't understand. Why?
Due process.
Due process. Okay. Who's not getting due process?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask.
Oh, you're the guy. You're the guy from the bar with Tom Laporta. Okay, I remember you now. You're a very inappropriate person. So who's not getting due process?
Oh, a lot of people these days. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but like a lot of people, man.
Like who, man?
Well, they've been doing this thing, right, with those fellas they're sending to El Salvador. They're not giving them nothing. The lawyers
not giving them nothing is a double negative. Hold on a second.
Right?
Not giving them nothing is a double negative.
They got lawyers, right? And the lawyers have been saying
excuse me.
Excuse me. Got abducted off the street.
Excuse me.
Not telling them nothing about where they're going or where they are.
Can you stop talking for a second? Can you stop talking for a second? You said they're not giving them nothing. That's a double negative, which means they're giving them everything. Who's been abducted off the street? What, are you high? This is a grown man.
Oh, man. Dude, they're going to come for you eventually, right?
Why would they come for me?
There's nothing you can do.
Who's going to come for me?
Not going to save you.
Who's going to come for me?
You know who's going to come for you.
What have I done?
You know exactly who's going to come for you, man.
No, who?
You ever heard about that priest in Germany, the conservative priest?
No.
He wrote that poem. First they came for the this, then they came for the that.
Yeah.
He was pro-Nazi. They came for him. You want to know why?
Yeah,
you want to know why?
I'm hanging on the edge of my seat here.
Because there's no logic to it.
What
it
now?
could be
Okay.
you tomorrow. It could be me tomorrow.
What? I don't even understand.
Matter.
Well, maybe somebody should come for you because you're insane.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
No, I saw that
What
video.
can I say?
I saw that video of you at the bar with Tom Laporta. I don't know why you would embarrass your wife behaving the way you do in public. I mean, you're really an
Oh
embarrassment.
yeah, well no, that was because it was funny. I was doing that for the laughs.
No, people weren't laughing at you. They're disturbed by you, and you were embarrassing your wife in public.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
I got that video
I know.
of you with that horse, man. I think that's more disturbing.
Well, if you got a video of me, I'll tell you this. If you have a video of me with a horse, post it on social media.
Oh, it's already posted. You look up Mr. Hands.
Mr. Hands, yeah. I know you want this call to end, but, you know, I've known guys like you. You embarrass everybody. Yeah, you embarrass everybody you're with in public. I don't know why anyone would go out in public with you. I mean, you're
Yeah, I know, right? I am an embarrassment. What can I say?
I mean, in this weird way you're talking. Yeah. I mean, what are you doing?
This weird way I'm talking? You got a problem with people from Jersey?
Jersey?
You got a problem with
I thought you were
Northeastern?
from, a minute ago, I thought you were from Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, what can I say? People flow together.
Yeah,
up
what
here.
can I
It's
say?
Italian territory.
This
you
is
wouldn't understand. You're from Elvis country.
This is.
All right, let's get back to the point, man. We're drifted here.
All right, yeah, we're drifting.
So
yeah.
you like the Fifth Amendment?
I like all the amendments.
You like the Fifth Amendment?
Sure, I guess. I mean, I don't know why I would oppose any of the amendments. I mean, what point are you trying to make, other than you're a lunatic?
Well, my point is that there's guys going against the Fifth Amendment these days.
What
so
guy?
Do you like those guys?
What
or do you
guy?
Like the Fifth Amendment?
What guy is going against the Fifth Amendment?
The guys that are sending people to El Salvador, aren't they?
The people that are being sent to El Salvador are members of terrorist
organizations. Not getting due process.
They are getting due process. They're terrorists. They're members of a terrorist organization.
Nobody's proving that though, because they're not getting due process. If
they are getting due process. No, they're in the no. Excuse me.
They don't.
No, they are. They are getting due process, and the person that you're referring to, this so-called Maryland man, was in front of two federal immigration judges who said he's MS-13. Two federal immigration judges. So when does the due process end?
Maryland man, I'm talking about all of them.
Oh, so they're
abducting them off the street. We don't know which one's a terrorist. We don't know which one's a gang members. They just
you don't know anything. No, we know who the gang members are.
We don't know.
Well, some of the students are terrorist activists, but the students aren't going to El Salvador. The ones that are going to El Salvador are MS-13 and the Trinidad de Agua, and they know who they are, and they've been identified, and they're members of terrorist organizations.
Who knows who they are?
Well, you don't know because you're a lunatic.
The administration knows?
The Trump administration, ICE, the Justice Department, the Secretary of State. Yeah, they're not just ripping people off the street. They're picking up gang members that are
not proving it in court.
You don't take terrorists in front of a judge. You deport them.
Yes, you do. You fucking moron.
Oh, there we go. All right, Mike. There we go. Hit the dump button. We got to hit the dump first time of the day. I'm surprised it took that long. Oh my goodness. Just in time for a break. If you're on hold, hang in there. You know, what's scary about that guy is he is a grown man, right? He's a grown man. And that's how he behaves, and that's how he carries himself. And he's so unself-aware, he thinks he's funny and cool. He's completely insane. If you're on hold, hang in there. The delay will rebuild during the break. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Isn't it scary? And that's a local listener. That's what I got to deal with in my life. People like that. 1-888-465-2631. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I know, it's crazy. The people I got to deal with. Now I'm on a whole bunch of FM radio stations in Morning Drive. Cover most of the state of Florida. Have you guys known guys like that? That go around embarrassing their families all the time? I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing to me how many guys, they get through life like that. They think they're funny. They embarrass everybody they're with. Yeah. If you're on hold, hang in there. It's bizarre when you've got like a grown man like that. You know, if it's a kid, you're like, well, at least they're a kid, you know, but that's like a grown man. We'll be back shortly, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where the MAGA comes to talk. Well, there's a lot of crazy, disturbed people out there. I learned, first time I was on the air, I learned that real quick. I've just got kind of used to it. That's when you're a public person, that's what you got to deal with. Nutcases. All right, stand by. We're coming back shortly. Welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. All right, we've started the day off with a celebration of the prosecution of Letitia James. And, well, let's just go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Brian. It's Laura. How are you?
All right, Laura.
Hi. Listen, since yesterday, it's very difficult to listen to your show because of these liberals with the evil laugh. To be honest with you, I think they want to sleep with these gang members. I mean, how can you? No, I think there's something. I'm thinking.
Oh, you think maybe they have that they may have. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So you think some of these liberal callers have a thing for guys that have tattoos all over their bodies? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe they should be deported and go to that prison and do things with them. They want to have sex with them. There's nothing for them since this guy. They want to have. Yeah, they like tattoos. They like gang members. And honestly, it's my freedom of speech as well. I hope you get deported with them and you go to El Salvador. Enough is enough. And by the way, this Greg guy too, he's not a lawyer. He is not a lawyer.
I don't know.
Lawyers, they don't even talk like this.
I don't know. I mean,
he has to prove,
there's a lot of lawyers. He doesn't have to prove anything. A lot of lawyers, listen, a lot of lawyers are low lives.
He has the bar.
A lot of.
It is in a drink.
Yeah.
And he's weird. And which lawyer is going to defend a gang member? These are threats to society. And did you see how this other guy was laughing? It was really scary.
Yeah, I know. It was scary.
It was scary.
It was scary. Well, think about this. Not only is he scary, he's like obsessed with me. So, I mean, come on. He's confronting people in restaurants about me and everything.
Most of them that they're calling. The most of them that are calling you, they're obsessed. Jay is obsessed. Greg too is obsessed. Why don't you go to court, Greg? Why don't you go to court? I know so many lawyers. They don't talk like this.
Okay.
They don't even have time to call a radio show. What is he talking about?
Yeah, lawyers are usually pretty busy. All right, good talking to you. Appreciate the call. Got a thing for Greg. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right. Once, twice. Okay. You missed your opportunity. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
That guy that said he was from Philly and then New Jersey, that was bizarre.
Yeah. I know.
But remember what Mike Davis said to Letitia James? Can't repeat it. It has a bad word in it. I think that's where she's going, and rightly so. But I also believe that everybody that falsely prosecuted and put Trump what he had to go through ought to all be arrested for.
Well, here's the thing, Jeff. Okay, here's the thing. I agree with you about that, but you want to start with one, and
right.
and I try to explain this to people because there's a marketing aspect to this, a public relations aspect. Like people say, go after Fannie. It is more productive to focus in on Letitia, get a cold, good, low-hanging fruit, easy conviction, and then you go after someone else. Okay, you gotta get an indictment on Letitia first. We've got her red-handed with the mortgage fraud documents with her signature, allegedly saying that her father is her husband. She's done. That's prison. So, you don't want to get focused on these others. You want to focus in on Letitia right now and celebrate that.
And I agree with that, too, because once you get several of those low-hanging fruit, like you say, someone's going to flip and say, well, so-and-so told me to do it. And it's going to go right up the ladder to the Obama administration, because that's where it all began.
Mm-hmm. They get an indictment against Letitia. That's going to start freaking people out, and they'll start making deals. First one to squeal gets the deal. And Pam Bondi throws the book at these people. She doesn't play around.
No, we've only begun to see the truth coming out about everything. Trump was right about everything, and we want to see restored equal justice. It doesn't matter who you are on what side of the aisle, but if you do wrong, you need to answer for it. And that's, I used to get really angry about it, but now we just need truth restored in America, justice, and this is just like you said at the beginning, but it's a good beginning.
Well, see, here's the thing with Letitia. We may not be able to get her sent to jail for the lawfare, but we can on the mortgage fraud, and that's good enough for me. Hey, Jeff, I appreciate the call, and I'll take that as a win. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, once, twice, that's it. You missed your chance. If you're on hold, hang in there. Now, I wanted to ask you this. Do you or someone you know suffer from neuropathy? Oh, my goodness. Neuropathy's awful. Steve had his neuropathy. It was so bad, he was confined to bed. I mean, it was so bad. He went to his doctor, his primary. He said there's no treatment for neuropathy. Steve begged and pleaded. He sent him to a specialist, a neurologist. Steve went to a neurologist. The neurologist, a specialist, said there's no treatment for neuropathy. And we found Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. Who knew? Right here in our own town. And Lighthouse Medical, they have a treatment for neuropathy that works, and it's a treatment that lasts. Steve had his neuropathy treatment over 2.5 years ago, and his neuropathy symptoms have not returned. Isn't that amazing? And the neuropathy symptoms are pretty brutal. They really are. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in the hands and feet, muscle weakness, dizziness, muscle twitching, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet. Some have no sensation at all. It's awful. But you don't have to suffer any longer. Call Lighthouse Medical. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show, because then you can take advantage of their no-charge consultation. Also, they can help you no matter where you're located in America. They understand that if you have neuropathy, it's probably hard for you to get out sometimes. So even if you're local and you can't make it into the office, give them a call. Here's the number, 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right, we'll attempt some more calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Now, my guess is that this is the guy from earlier. And, and I understand he's got some issues, as you most definitely could tell from his previous call. But, hey, people that complain about the way that I handle the calls, I mean, you guys call me. I don't call you, okay? And this obsession people have is sometimes a little scary. Now, in the next hour, we'll continue to celebrate the, criminal probe into Letitia James and her mortgage fraud, no doubt about that. But there's a few other things we're going to cover as well. We've got some updates on this El Salvador illegal member of the MS-13 terrorist organization that the Democrats are really creating a cause celeb over. All right, let's try again. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
IB.
Hey, IB. What's up?
You hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't think your phone system liked me, or I have to get a new phone. I kept getting dropped.
All right, well, what's on your mind?
These people are simply going to die on this limb, going back to the, you were tariffed out. I am due processed out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's in one document in the court. They have the evidence finding this guy guilty. End of story. He had his due process. So they're just going to keep repeating it. Polly wants a cracker until they get the next talking point. And they're just going to die on that hill. I sometimes blame Geraldo, like you used to say, for having those mental institutions open, and we have these idiots roaming around the country. I mean, just the thinking alone, in that way, the process of the thinking, unless the lady from Laura was right, maybe that's an interesting.
Yeah, and they've got two talking points with this so-called Maryland man: due process, which he was given, and prove it. It's not for us to prove. Two federal immigration judges said he was MS-13. What, we're supposed to offer evidence on top of that? I mean, these talking points are vacuous.
Yeah. And you know what? I love this Letitia James situation, having been a loan officer before and having, let's say, two homesteads, going through the process and sitting down with the title people. I don't know how many documents you have to sign these days, maybe 20 or 30 pages of documents.
A lot.
So imagine having to sit in an office for 45 minutes to an hour going through those papers. She knew what she was doing.
Sitting there with your dad, allegedly sitting there with her dad, claiming that was her husband. All right, IB, take care. Thanks for the call. Yeah, 1 hour down, 2 to go. My name's Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Callers on hold, stand by. We'll take our break for the top of the hour and be right back. All right, we'll be back shortly, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. This guy's had 2 judges' rulings. These talking points, they're just weak. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Hour number 2 of this Wednesday morning edition of Florida's longest running radio show has begun. If you're just tuning in the first hour, we were celebrating the criminal prosecution of Letitia James by Pam Bondi for major mortgage fraud. And it looks like Letitia James is going to go to prison for mortgage fraud. And that's beautiful. And I know some people will start to say, well, but we're not getting her on the lawfare. You get them what you can get them on. And these charges, there's documents. She falsified, IB, that was probably IB's best call. He talked about how many documents and how long it takes to sign all the documents for a mortgage. You have to sit there for a better part of an hour. If the allegations are true, signing fraudulent documents claiming your father's your husband. That's major mortgage fraud. There's other instances of mortgage fraud too. It is all documented. She's in big, big trouble. So your thoughts on that are certainly welcome at 1-888-465-2631. Now, I want to talk about this leaker, Darren Selnick, from the Pentagon. This is really an amazing story and quite historic. This is in the Daily Mail. Pentagon Deputy Chief of Staff Darren Selnick is suspended amid probe into unauthorized disclosure of classified information. Darren Selnick, the Pentagon's Deputy Chief of Staff, has been suspended as part of an investigation into leaks at the department in the wake of the Signal group chat scandal, a defense official confirmed. The suspension follows news that Dan Caldwell, a senior advisor to Pete Hegseth, has been placed on administrative leave as part of the same probe. Caldwell was escorted out of the Pentagon. Oh, I lost my spot here in the story. Hold on. This is a big story, and I'll tell you exactly why in just a minute. Caldwell was escorted out of the Pentagon yesterday after allegedly being identified during the investigation. Selnick, who has been a long Hegseth ally and served in the White House under the first Trump administration, was also escorted from the Pentagon, according to Politico. The investigation is ongoing. The move comes after a March 21st memo ordering a Pentagon investigation into leaks ordered by Pete Hegseth's chief of staff. President Trump has railed against leakers, especially those leaking information about his administration. He was the staff member designated as Hegseth's point person in the Signal messaging chat that top Trump administration national security officials, including Hegseth, used to convey plans on a military strike in Yemen on the Houthi. The chat was set up by, of course, we know Michael Waltz. It goes on and on. See, this is very interesting story. Because what this guy, who also very well could be facing criminal prosecution, and I imagine he will. This guy, I don't care if he's with the first Trump administration or not. He's a leaker. And what this guy did, he doesn't even know that what he did was wrong, because this is how Washington works. They have these leakers, they give stuff to the press, and then boom. And this guy has just been doing, it's a crime what he's doing. I mean, he's leaking classified information, the Signal chat, all this stuff. So he's committing crimes, could be dispensing classified information to the media, which is just giving it out to the public. So this guy here, while he's been suspended and removed from the Pentagon, there's an investigation going on that is a criminal investigation, and he too very likely could end up going to prison. But this is how Washington works. These leakers, it's just part of the life in Washington. This guy is probably in shock that he's in trouble for doing what he thinks everybody does. Donald Trump's changing everything in Washington. I was yesterday, President Trump, he's moving a lot of these government agency offices outside of Washington out into different parts of the country. Why do you think he's doing that? Right? If you move these departments, like say, for example, the Department of Veterans Affairs, right, the VA, and you move it out to Wisconsin or Kansas and get it out of Washington, you get a different demo of people who work there, right? You get local people from that state working there in the government agency. That's one of the reasons he's doing it. Donald Trump is major swamp draining, shutting down USAID, shutting down other government organizations like the Education Department, moving government agencies out of Washington into different parts of the country so that regular people will end up working there, right? I mean, that's true, okay? Pursuing leakers criminally like this guy, right? Because it's crimes, what they're doing. He is changing the way Washington works. This is draining the swamp. And, maybe in the first term he wasn't equipped to do it because, that campaign was just a steamroller campaign. Next thing you knew, he's president. And President Trump talked about this. He didn't know who he could trust. He was not a Washington person. And obviously, these last 4 years, while he's fighting off assassins and lawfare criminals like Letitia James, Fannie, and all the rest, he was also organizing his second term, because what's going on in his second term here is a well-oiled machine. And this zero tolerance for leakers, let me tell you, this guy being escorted, these two guys being escorted out of the Pentagon yesterday for leaking. You don't think that sent chills through the administration? Of course it did. Now, the Democrats have circled the wagons around this El Salvadorian illegal. This is Cory Booker with Kristen Welker on NBC.
Do you think the Trump administration is defying a court order?
It certainly appears that they are, and they're trying to play too cute with parsing words. The court has ordered the return of this person, and that the Trump administration should do it.
Okay, the Trump administration, this is Cory Booker. So how do you do this? So a judge in this country, can order the president of the United States to send special forces into a foreign country, break into a prison, and kidnap a citizen of a foreign country who's a member of a terrorist organization and bring them to Maryland? How does that work, Cory Booker?
It certainly appears that they are, and they're trying to play too cute with parsing words. The court has ordered the return of this person, and that the Trump administration should do it. They're paying an authoritarian leader in El Salvador to hold people in the worst imaginable types of prisons that he has sent there without any due process.
See, there's that talking point. They all have they're terrorists, members of terrorist organizations.
And this isn't just about Mr. Garcia. This is about every American understanding that this president is making an assault on the due process rights that are afforded to people in our country. Everybody from Anton Scalia to other conservative think tanks.
Oh, now all of a sudden the Democrats want to quote Scalia.
Have said very clearly, you cannot disappear people off American streets. We are a nation of rules, and due process is clearly one of them. And to erode the due process rights of anyone is a threat to the due process rights of everyone. This is a democratic slippage, and we all should be speaking out against it.
Okay. Now Cory Booker is talking about traveling to El Salvador with a congressional delegation to try to get this guy released. And there's other Democrat members of Congress that are talking about going to El Salvador. Now, what I'm hoping is that this great president of El Salvador refuses them entry. Why should he allow these Democrat agitators? Who cares that they're members of Congress? Who do they think they are? They're going to go to a foreign country and demand that the president of that country release a terrorist from his prison that's a citizen of his country and send this terrorist back to the United States. I hope he refuses them entry. He doesn't have to let them there. You know, this is going to be an interesting thing. I hope that these Democrats do this. What they're trying to do is stage in El Salvador in front of this prison a big sit-in. They kind of did this during Operation Iraqi Freedom in Crawford, Texas. George W. Bush spent most of the year at his ranch in Crawford, Texas, and the Democrats organized with Cindy Sheehan and others this big, they practically built a town outside the Bush ranch in Crawford and were camped out there, it seemed like for years, protesting the Iraq War. They want to do that in El Salvador. Well, I got news for you. El Salvador is not the United States, and this guy down there that's the president doesn't look like he plays. Okay, he's cleaned up his country. He's got a great country, a true ally of the United States. Used to be the murder capital of the world. Now it's the safest country in Latin America. Yeah, they want to send these Democrats, these Congress people, Code Pink, all these other people down there and set up shop in front of this prison in El Salvador. I don't think the president of El Salvador is going to allow it. And I hope he doesn't let them leave, or if they land, doesn't let them enter the country and leave the airport, and sends them all back to America packing. Who do they think they are? It's bad enough they're harassing the duly elected president of the United States. Now they want to harass the president of El Salvador. I was telling you guys yesterday, the Democrats have gotten so low now. This is what they've been left to rally around. Terrorist. They're openly supporting terrorists now. All right, now we're going to take our first break of the second hour. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Indulge in a world of refined luxury.
But I think what really matters to
If you're on hold, hang in there. Hey guys, if you're new, make sure that you subscribe. We will be back shortly. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. You don't have to agree to call. If you could disagree with what I'm saying, I mean, I don't understand how anyone could disagree with any points I'm making, but you can try. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. It's Joanne from Tamarack.
Hey, Joanne.
I'm thinking that President Trump should beat these Democrats at their own game. They say that he was ordered to try and get this guy out of prison, that he's not facilitating getting him out. Well, I think he should say, good idea, you Democrats. Go down there and try to get him out. You do the job for me. Try and get him out. And I don't think the president of El Salvador is going to say, oh, yeah, take him. So we should back them and say, yeah,
what I'm hoping is that these Democrats fly down to El Salvador and the president refuses them entry. And they get sent back to the United States in a very humiliating fashion. They're going to go down there and agitate. They could cause a prison riot. They're going to go down there in front of a Supermax prison and talk about freeing terrorists. That's very dangerous what they're doing.
Well, I would like to see them end up in the prison themselves. But I think if President Trump says, okay, you go down.
Why would Trump do that? That would be like giving his blessing. No, that's not a good idea.
Here's the reason why. Because the Democrats are saying he is not facilitating his release. I know that the president of El Salvador said he's not releasing him, but the Democrats are saying he's not trying. So all he's got to do is say, yeah, you guys go down there, try and get him out. That means he's facilitating getting him out.
Bad idea. Yeah, well, no, that's a bad idea. Because all right, appreciate the call because that's like signals that he thinks he should be out. No, that's crazy. Now, yesterday, this MS-13 guy that they call the Maryland man, they brought out his anchor wife. And she gave a press conference yesterday. Listen to this. This is the MS-13 terrorist anchor bride.
The wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia just spoke outside of a courthouse in Maryland ahead of a hearing about his wrongful deportation, his mistaken deportation to El Salvador.
Why? Who determined it was mistaken? 2 immigration judges said he's out.
Today is 34 days. Of after his disappearance. And I stand before you filled with spirit that refuses to bring down. I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive.
Well, she can. I'm sure they have visiting. Do they let the prisoners get visitors in El Salvador? She can go to El Salvador, visit him on visiting day.
Kilmar, if you can hear me, stay strong. God hasn't forgotten about you. Our children are asking, when would you come home?
Never.
And I pray for the day I tell them the time and date that you'll return.
He is home in El Salvador, the country he's a citizen of.
As we continue through Holy Week, my heart aches for my husband, who should have been here leading our Easter prayers. Instead, I find myself pleading with the Trump administration and the Bukele administration to stop playing political games with the life of Kilmer.
Oh, yeah. Well, move to El Salvador, set yourself up down there, visit him on visiting days if they have visitors, and, seems like Spanish is her first language. She'll be able to function very well in El Salvador. No, my guess is that the president of El Salvador will turn these Democrats away. There's no way that he's going to let them set up camp outside of this prison filled with terrorists and possibly cause riots inside the prison. Now, the woman, the anchor bride there, the guy's wife, we're going to start to see a lot more of her. Oh, yeah. Now, I don't know how they're supporting her and paying her because USAID's gone. They found some other ways to pay her maybe, but they're going to make her the face. You're going to start to see interviews with her. She'll be on The View. She'll be on MSNBC. She's going to have regular press conferences. They'll start having film crews follow her, taking her kids to school, maybe even to church on Easter. They might be there. They're going to start to make her the face of this. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. This is the worst thing that the Democrats could have rallied around, which is good for us. We don't want them to make good decisions. We want the Democrats to make bad ones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. This is Nick from Maryland.
Hey, Nick.
Listen, first of all, I'm praying for Kathy. Hope she gets better.
Thank you.
Quickly, speedy recovery.
Yeah, what Nick's talking about, my wife has pneumonia, and she's been to the hospital 3 times in the last 5 days, and we had to go to the ER in Miami Beach really late last night, so I got about 2.5 hours sleep before the show today. She's home, but she's in recovery.
I'll just pray for her.
So I appreciate that.
Just take care of her, and she's a wonderful person. You're both wonderful.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention something. I don't know if you've heard this or know this. This woman you just played is the wife of this
the Maryland man.
This guy that they want to bring back. She filed a domestic violence charge against
really
her wonderful husband.
What did he do? Did he beat her up? What did he do? Do you know?
No, I don't know. It's just some sort of domestic violence.
Wow.
I don't know what it means.
Really?
He hit her or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, that just came out.
Where'd you see that? Because I'd like to look that up. Where did you see that?
I think we heard it on one of the shows out of D.C.
All right, I'll see if I can find during the bottom of the hour break something about that. I'm curious about that. That's
so and this nutball Chris Van Hollen, one of our senators here, is talking about going down there. They had to take this guy and house him in their mansion. They want to, this is just ridiculous.
Well, and Cory Booker's talking about leading a congressional delegation. I really don't think that the president of El Salvador is going to let them in. I think that they may not even let the plane land, but I don't think they'll let him leave the airport. There's no way he's going to let these Democrats go down there in front of a supermax prison filled with terrorists and cause a possible riot in there.
Why is it that the Democrats are so insane? Like these goofy callers that are calling, these seminar callers that are calling it. It's just, these people are insane.
Yeah.
They really are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy shot a cop. He's involved in rape, and they're selling drugs and whatever. It's documented that this guy is a member of MS-13.
That's right. Two federal immigration judges agreed with that.
Yeah, well...
That's his due process.
Baltimore, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it was Baltimore.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I'm going to look for that domestic... if anybody has that domestic complaint story, tweet it and tag me. But I'm going to see what I can find during the break. But, I got limited time during the break to look for something like that. But I appreciate the heads up. Take care, Nick. If anybody knows about that, get that story to me. I'm going to look during the break. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. We'll be right back. I can't find anything on that. Domestic violence, nothing. But if anybody does know anything about it, get it to me. Okay, looks like we got something here. Hold on. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. That's right. Yeah. I found some information on X about this domestic violence incident that Nick from Baltimore mentioned, which I will read cold on the air. I just found this 30, 40 seconds ago, so I've not read through it, but there's some information on X, and I'm going to go through it in just a minute, cold with you. I'll be looking at it for the first time, but first I want to ask you this. All this talk about, people worried about their 401ks, the stock market ups and downs, and how the trade war and all this stuff. You notice me, I'm not sweating. You know who else isn't sweating? That's Jupiter Joe Thomas. Because, with annuities, which is what Jupiter Joe Thomas specializes in, the ups and downs of the stock market don't faze you because your money is always safe. You don't have to worry about that. And if you'd like to turn your money into guaranteed income for life, you want to call Jupiter Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations that you could take advantage of no matter where you are in the United States. A lot of people have 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, a whole bunch of other things. But none of them do what annuities do, which guarantee you income for the rest of your life. Give Joe Thomas a call, 561-743-0999. He'll have a conversation with you, and then he's going to put together a custom proposal based on your situation and your goals. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. All right, now I'm going to go through this, and I want to thank Nick in Baltimore for bringing this to my attention. He had heard a story of this Maryland man who's a MS-13 terrorist in this El Salvadorian prison that she filed some kind of domestic violence against him. And listen to this. Jennifer Vasquez, that's the wife who I just played the press conference of before the break. Jennifer Vasquez obtained a court protective order against her husband due to domestic violence in 2021. Holy smokes. They must have missed this on CNN and MSNBC. Jennifer Vasquez, and by the way, I retweeted all this stuff. So if you go to my X, Brian Craig Show on X, you can see all this. Jennifer Vasquez filed for a protective order due to domestic violence from her husband on May 13th, 2021. A final order was issued June 17th, 2021 by Prince George's County District Court Judge Lakeisha Allen. Judge Allen was elevated to the circuit court in August of 24 by the governor of Maryland. So this wife out there who is praising him and all of this, she was scared of him. And now either he's the father of the year, living in the Maryland suburbs or whatever, or he's a guy who tunes up his wife, which is the lowest of the low. And that's not me saying it. That's the wife. The wife is the one who made these charges of domestic violence. And so she's there. That's pretty bad, guys. I mean, that's pretty bad. See where the Democrats are? The Democrats are so low. They're defending domestic terrorists and alleged, I guess, wife beaters. I don't know. What does domestic violence mean? Violence against your wife. Oh, my goodness. I want to hear your thoughts on this. And all these big mouth liberals that talk about due process and want them out. I'd like to hear your response to that at 1-888-465-2631. 1-888-465-2631. And what's interesting about this is the wife saying it. So this isn't Homeland Security. It's not ICE. It's not Tom Holman. It's the man's wife who's trying to portray him as the father of the year. Well, a couple years ago, she went to the court and got this protective order against domestic violence from him. So which is it? Is he the father of the year, the husband of the year, or is he a wife beater? I don't know. But the wife said he was committing violence against her in the home. And, you know, it's like these Letitia Jones mortgage fraud documents. That has her signature on it, right? This is the wife. What more credible source do we have about this guy than the wife? Now, what's happened to her right now is her ship has come in, which means the Democrats are taking care of her. They're putting her up on high. If they're not doing it now, they will be supporting her financially. They'll take her to meet all the big shot Democrats. She'll probably meet Obama and Biden and Kamala. She'll meet all the top Democrats in Congress. She'll be hanging out with Pelosi, you know, and Schumer. So they're going to parade her around and elevate her and take care of her financially. And they're going to elevate her to this celebrity martyr status. But she's the one who said that her husband was committing domestic violence. Now, maybe she lied to the judge. I don't know. We'll find out. Now, they brought Biden out of the wax museum, and he used a very dated, racist word yesterday.
And I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time and I was only going in fourth grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
Colored kids. Oh, my goodness. I haven't heard that one in a while. Whatever super drugs they were giving him when he was president to keep him awake, I guess he's cut off now. Oh, my goodness. There you got it. You got Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden. You Democrats out there, what say you to that? Here you got your icon here, Joe Biden, using the word that's very close to the N-word. It really is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Greg.
Oh, hey, Greg. You calling in to apologize for slandering the president of El Salvador yesterday? Because everything you said about him was pretty much wrong.
First of all, I didn't slander him. You know what? You can Google up anything you want to find, but I first and foremost was going to say, God bless your wife. I hope she recovers, and everything goes well with your family.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Now, and as far as if you want to get into the El Salvadorian president, you want to relitigate that? I did not slander him, by the way.
You said that he was an anti-Israel, pro-Hamas Palestinian. That's not true. His family. No, he's not. He is
pro-Palestine, anti-Israel.
No, he is not.
Period.
He is not. That's a lie.
He might be against Hamas.
That's a lie.
I don't know about that.
He is a Christian Zionist, admittedly. His family immigrated from Palestine like almost 100 years ago. He is a Christian, and being of Palestinian descent, he supports the Palestinian people, but not these radical terrorists that are killing Jews and have done so much damage to the Palestinian people. But let's get into today's story.
But also,
let's get into today's stories.
Your audience, and I try to speak calmly because I got to over talk you to actually get a word in edgewise, because you give Nick and you give all these people a platform. Me, you cut me off. But you know what? You guys are so misinformed. The point was $6 million that we gave that president. What do you think it costs to actually house an inmate over there? Forget about here, over there.
No, I don't want to. No. I want to talk about the news today. Now, your hero, this gang member, terrorist from MS-13.
He's not my hero.
His wife is saying that he's commits domestic violence against her.
Hey, you know what? That certainly is compelling, and that needs some further due diligence. If that's the case. But let me ask this question.
That's his wife.
Wait, let me finish my sentence. You don't let me finish, Brian, ever. Let me ask you a question. Why did the problem is the Trump administration lost out on this issue when they said there was an administrative error when we brought him over there. True or not true?
No, I don't know about that.
See, because it's hard to talk to a person that's not informed.
But I am informed. I am informed. And if somebody said something, I'm not going to.
The Trump administration.
I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to hold President Trump to some statement that some underling made. Okay, that's not policy. Policy is what the president says, not what one of the million people that work for him say.
Okay, and let's go in.
But we have some new information. The guy's a member of a terrorist.
I think, you know what?
Excuse me.
That's a domestic matter.
A domestic matter, wife beating. He's a member of a terrorist organization. Now we find out his wife says he's a wife beater.
You haven't even known the real facts, what she said in any document.
I read the document. The wife went to a judge and said and got a domestic violence protective order against her husband. My wife's never done that.
I hope not.
Because I don't beat her up. I don't beat her up.
But guess what? You know what? Let's put it this way. Is that certainly damaging his character? Absolutely. But does that have anything to do to sending him to an El Salvadorian prison?
He's El Salvadorian.
No, it's irrelevant.
It is.
Listen, for the lady, by the way, the lady that has the accent that I don't know how long she's lived in the United States, why she has such a distinct accent that's infatuated
with the anchor wife, his anchor wife?
I'm going to use a little legal term for her. It's called a red herring. A red herring is another topic.
Oh, you're talking about the caller earlier. She said you're not a lawyer, so you're going to use legal terms to prove. Come on, Greg.
Yeah, but you know what? That lady's accent is so. You would rip her if she was a liberal. You'd be asking her, "How long have you lived in the United States for? Why do you have an accent like that?" You know that's.
I've had that conversation with her. I've had that conversation with her.
Yeah. Why? Where is she from? How long has she lived here? Why does she speak like she just came here yesterday?
Well, you don't like people with accents?
No, but I'm just saying this is what you do, Brian. This is what you do.
No, that's not what I do.
Targeting her if she didn't agree with you. But she's infatuated with me. And by the way, I have no interest in her. But all that being said, why did the Trump administration, and look it up, Google it up, and next break I'll hear you.
No, I'm not going to I'm not going to look anything up. Listen. Just because President Trump has 10,000 people that work in his administration immediately under him. Somebody says something and that's your policy. We got a guy whose wife says he beat her up. He's a member of a terrorist organization. And you Democrats are about to fly to El Salvador and cause a prison riot to get him out of jail.
Listen. First of all, I don't care about them flying over there. That's absurd. But at the end of the day, the Trump organization, which you keep on using different verbiage. I don't understand why you change your, you say organization one time, organization, like you're from Canada the second time. But why?
All right, Greg, I appreciate the call. We're up against a break. He's just babbling today with nothing to say. Things are going bad. Letitia James going to prison. The Maryland man's wife says he beats her up. So things are not going well for the Democrats. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. We'll be back shortly, guys. Stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Now, of course, the big story of the day is that Letitia James looks like she's heading to prison for mortgage fraud. I want to go through this story again for people that are just tuning in. This is huge. Letitia James, now remember, she's one of the big lawfare people, Attorney General of New York, and she went after Trump on that ridiculous mortgage fraud case that he overvalued, his properties and everything. And we find out that Letitia has been committing some major mortgage fraud. Now, this story broke in conservative media a couple of months ago. I heard about this. Many of you probably did. But it was never reported in the mainstream. And now, for the very first time, millions and millions of people that watch the news every day but don't go to Breitbart or the Gateway Pundit are seeing what Letitia James has done, and it's pretty twisted. This is from Fox News Channel, headline, Trump administration refers New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution over allegations of mortgage fraud. And they have the documents, multiple documents with her signature on it. And, one of our callers called in earlier, made a good point. He used to be a mortgage broker. And, he says, how long does it take to sign all the papers for a single mortgage? Takes a while, doesn't it? Your hands like sore when you're done, if you've ever been through that process. New York attorney, this is Fox News. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been hit with shocking allegations by the Trump administration, accusing her of mortgage fraud. In documents obtained by Fox News, the Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, accusing Letitia James of mortgage fraud yesterday. The director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency said in a letter to Pam Bondi that Letitia James appears to have falsified records to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. This is major fraud. Major fraud. He cited a property in Virginia that Letitia James allegedly claimed as her principal residence, even though she lives in New York. And a property in New York she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of 5, which he said could mean she was able to get a different and more favorable loan. Jonathan Turley, who you guys see on Fox all the time, said that this is falsifying records. Now, this is where it gets really sick, twisted, disgusting, and completely insane. Letitia James is also accused in these mortgage, and again, they have the documents with her signatures, okay? They have them all. Politico is even reporting this, and they're pretty left-wing. Letitia James is also accused of saying that her father was her husband to file as a married couple. Jonathan Turley's reviewed the documents, and he says it's right there. Wow. Who does that? Hardcore criminals. So, just the thing about her father is enough to send her to prison. And you know what? She's going to go to prison. She's going to go to prison for a number of reasons. One, she's committed some major, major financial crimes. Mortgage fraud is huge, huge. And once they get the indictment and start going after her on this, and they start doing some more investigations, they're going to find out how she became a multimillionaire. She's worth $15 million, Letitia James. And a lot of people may say, well, All these people in government are rich. Well, here's the thing. We have documents showing mortgage fraud. She is not married, and she does not come from a wealthy family. She graduated law school. Her first job, I believe, was legal aid. She has never worked outside of the government of New York City. Okay? So how does a girl with no family wealth or rich husband work for the government her entire life and amass a $15 million fortune? Well, possibly mortgage fraud like this. And like that domestic violence charge made by the Maryland man's wife. Okay, that's her. She went to court. She signed the papers. She swore in front of a judge that her husband was tuning her up. Letitia James signed all these fraudulent documents. And, these professional criminals, as Letitia James is being accused of doing, they get very arrogant. They get away with it, so they do it again and again and again. Just the mortgage fraud claiming her father was her husband because they have the same last name. Can you imagine? That is so sick. It's not just criminal, it's sick. I've never heard of someone doing such a thing. But then again, I don't associate with criminals. But just the one fraud with the father claiming to be saying that that's her husband is enough to send her to prison. But all these cases are. Now, a lot of people are it is sick, isn't it? Oh my goodness. I mean, who thinks to do something like that? Is that a common mortgage fraud technique? I've never heard of something like that. And that means her father is involved in the fraud too. So is she going to take the heat for the dad, or is she, is her dad still alive? I mean, she's in her 60s, so if her dad's still alive, he's got to be in his 80s. I don't know if he's alive or not. But if he is, would she let her elderly father go to prison? The thing with Letitia James, because I saw her on TV this week, she's very arrogant, black female Democrat. She feels invincible, and she's also insane. Okay? So my guess is she's too out of it to be nervous about this. But Pam Bondi is under a tremendous amount of pressure to bring charges against a well-known lawfare person. And she's one of the most well-known lawfare people. Now, the mortgage fraud that she's accused of, which I think it'll send her to prison. I mean, if she were smart, she'd make a deal. But I don't know if Pam Bondi wants to make deals. I think Pam Bondi wants to go to trial and go for a maximum sentencing. And I'll tell you, even with the documents, I could see Letitia James pleading not guilty, even with the documents. Can you? Do you see her pleading guilty? I don't think so. But a lot of people are going to start saying, well, she's not being charged with her lawfare crime. So what? We got her on what we can get her on. And, of course, it's what's one of the crazy things about this. She committed the crimes that she falsely accused Trump of doing. Mortgage fraud, which shows that there's some awareness that she is a fraudster. She just probably feels entitled to commit the fraud. Remember, rules for radicals, Saul Alinsky, accuse your opponent of doing what you are doing. Now, I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret, which I'm just blown away by. I really am. When I first went over to Coastal Weight Loss Secret and I told them I wanted to lose weight, they said, no problem. I said my goal was 25. I've lost much more than that. And I lost it in just a few weeks, less than a month, right? I wanted to lose 25 pounds before the cruise. Last night I was editing the video that I made of our cruise. I'll have it online maybe over the weekend. And even since the cruise, which we got back from just 2.5 weeks ago, I've lost a lot of weight since the cruise because I'm looking at myself in the cruise and my face is not as thin as it is today. I've lost weight even in the last week and a half. I'm still losing weight, which is amazing. I've lost the weight in all the places that I wanted to lose the weight in and in places I thought was impossible. I did not think I would be able to lose my belly because I just thought bellies is just, you hit 45 or so and you got the belly and you got to live with it unless you're working out all the time at the gym, which I don't do. I don't do any exercise. No exercise, no medications, not taking Ozempic, and and I'm eating foods I would normally eat. Okay, it's absolutely amazing. It works. The Coastal Weight Loss Secret works. You've seen it work with me. I was shocked when I was editing the video from the cruise and to see how much weight I've lost just in the last 10 days. I could see it in my face. My stomach's completely flat. I've dropped, I don't know how many pant sizes. My face, I was looking at a video of mine from about 3-4 months ago, and my face was so puffy and round. Now it's, it's chiseled. I've lost the weight. I see it in my neck. My belly is gone. It's flat. It's absolutely amazing. Now, if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds, whatever it is, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It works, guys. You've seen it work with me. It's amazing. 0 exercise, too. 0 exercise. Here's the number. Now, when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, we're going to take our break for the top. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take some more calls when we get back. We've covered a lot on the program today. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all of it. I'll do some recapping after the top of the hour for people that are just tuning in, because there's been a lot of major and breaking news this morning that we've been covering, but I do want to recap some of it, including the Letitia James story, because that one is just so good. It could not happen to a better person. This is the perfect person to start the lawfare prosecutions with. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. My name is Brian Craig. Our number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back right after this break. Hello? Hello? I was just calling you on the other line. Okay, we got her. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay. Are you there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane here. And Steve, we have been covering so much today. It's there's just been so much exciting good news. I want to recap some of it for people that are just tuning in, unless you had somewhere you wanted to go.
No, I've been listening. I did want to, before you start anything, find out about Kathy. You told me, is she home or?
Yeah, she's home, but my wife has pneumonia, and we had to go to the hospital in Miami Beach last night. It's her third time in the hospital, like in 5 days. And
nasty stuff, that pneumonia.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, it kills people. It's pretty bad, you know.
Well, tell her we love her and we're all praying for her.
I will, and I'm operating like on about 2.5 hours of sleep. So you know, so I was up.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, and I was up basically, you know, like 22 hours. So
you're a pro.
Yeah, right. We'll see. I'll be running out of gas by 9 probably, but there's a lot to energize ourselves with today, including
take the ball and run.
Yeah, the big story of today is it looks like we're going to get the first arrest of one of the lawfare criminals, and that, of course, is Letitia James. And this
isn't that exciting?
Letitia James, you know, this mortgage fraud story, and I want to highlight that this is very important to understand. This mortgage fraud that she committed, this story broke 2 months ago in the conservative media, like Breitbart had it, okay? We talked about it a little bit, but I didn't even talk about the worst of it because I needed it confirmed. And Fox News and left-wing Politico have obtained the documents and both reported it, okay? So Letitia James, now remember, she went after President Trump on these bogus mortgage fraud things, right? Overvaluing Mar-a-Lago and all. It was all lies. Yep. Well, it turns out she's been doing what she accused Trump of doing, committing mortgage fraud. And
that's juicy.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it is all the fraud is documented on documents with her signature. Now, the first couple things she did is she claimed a residence outside of the state of New York was her primary residence, which was a lie, okay? And she misrepresented the number of rooms, which got her a better mortgage deal. That's financial fraud. That's enough to send her to a white-collar prison near you. But what the documents also show that she did that is, I've never heard of such a thing happening. It is so sick. Now, these are all allegations, but they're Jonathan Turley on Fox has reviewed the documents, and he says they're legit, and they have her signature on them.
He's got great credibility.
Yeah,
really.
And isn't he a Democrat? For some reason,
no.
He's not? Jonathan Turley's not a Democrat? He's a Republican? Okay.
I don't believe so.
I don't know. Anybody know about it? Well, anyway, she obtained a mortgage with her father, but she didn't say it was his father. On the mortgage documents, she says that her father was her husband so that they could get a better mortgage deal as a married couple. I've never heard of somebody doing that. That's hardcore mortgage fraud, major financial fraud. That alone is enough to send you to white-collar prison for a long time. Because this is big money mortgages. And I mean, I've never heard of something so twisted before. Claiming the father is your husband. And, you know, I got a call from one of our listeners, a mortgage broker, earlier in the show. And he made such a great point. If you've ever gotten a mortgage, you sign a lot of documents. It takes about an hour. So she sat there with a mortgage broker with her father for at least an hour, signing documents claiming that that was her husband. There's that. That's.
She thought she was going to get away with it. That's the amazing thing. It never entered her mind that somebody might spot it and say, "Oh, isn't this the lady that was persecuting Donald for all those many months?"
Well, yeah, and these mortgage fraud cases, they've been referred to Pam Bondi, okay? And Pam Bondi, a couple things with Pam Bondi. Now, Letitia James is the Attorney General of New York, okay? She may hold that position fraudulently. According to New York law, your primary residence to hold office has to be in the state of New York. And she claims on these documents her primary residence is in another state. So she may have committed some fraud there too, so far as with the New York Election Commission. Okay, that's more crime. She's illegally holding that office. But Pam Bondi herself is a former state attorney general, and she's got to take a lot of offense at somebody that has a job like she has, top law enforcement officer for a major state, New York, who's out there committing major financial crimes and may even illegally be in that office, since she says her primary residence is not New York, but I think it was North Carolina.
It's delicious.
Oh, well, also Pam Bondi is under tremendous amounts of pressure to bring charges against one of the lawfare people, and people are pretty fed up with her. Really, I was telling you last week, people are losing patience. So Letitia James, I'm going to predict right here now she's going to go to prison, and Pam Bondi's going to send her to prison, and she's going to go to prison for quite some time. And once they start investigating, they're probably going to find out she's been doing this stuff for years. Remember, Letitia James does not have a husband. She has no family money. Her only jobs have been with the government of New York City and the state of New York, and she's worth $15 million. And I've wondered how she did that. Now, is it mortgage fraud? Maybe.
Lucky, I guess.
Or mortgage fraud. You know, so she is going to go to prison, and I also think she's so arrogant. There's no way that she would not plead not guilty, right? She's going to go to trial.
Say arrogant. I think the word you're looking for is stupid.
Stupid, insane, and arrogant. Well, you know, liberal Democrat black woman is used to making in a state of New York is used to doing whatever they want, right? The rules and laws don't apply, and it's so damning. Because her signature are on all of these documents. So you can't, and these documents are notarized, there's witnesses, there's a mortgage broker. Now, I don't know if her father is alive or not. She's in her 60s, so it's possible her father's alive. But maybe he's not, I don't know. Maybe if he's not, maybe she'll throw him under the bus. But if he's alive, he's facing prison too. Oh, this is the best. This is the best because it's almost like having a photograph. I mean, for her signature to be on these
documents. Like what goes around comes around. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's no getting around that she said that her father was her husband. It's on the documents. I mean, there's no getting around that. Especially for...
Meanwhile, what did you think of Joe Biden's performance last night? Boy, it's a good thing we didn't have to face Joe in that election. We would have been in big trouble.
Well, it looks like they stopped pumping him full of whatever they were giving him. I mean, he was not... I don't know. Why is he going public? I mean, why isn't he just like...
It's his passive-aggressive way of getting back at all his people that turned their back on him in his hour of need.
A normal person would retire. I mean, you know, but he's...
But you don't... How can you confuse Joe with a normal person?
No. I know. You know, and using the C word, colored, I mean, that's a couple steps removed from the N word. I haven't heard someone use that word in years.
It's a good 50s word.
Yeah. I mean, I heard people use it when I was a kid that were older, you know, but I haven't. You probably heard people use it when you were younger,
yeah.
But I haven't heard that word in like 40 years or more. It really is a old word. You know, I wonder why he said it. Did he say it because he's like, well, you guys screwed me?
He was in a conversational mode when he used the word.
I don't know. I think maybe he feels ticked off at everybody because he feels that he was unjustly removed from the presidency. He thinks
you can be sure he's mad at everyone.
He's mad at the world, and he thinks he should still be the president. So he's on this FU tour now. And he's going to say...
His revenge.
Yeah. And his revenge is just going to humiliate him. He probably...
I think he's beyond humiliation. I think he's reached the maximum figure of humiliation.
Well, he's lucky his whole family didn't go to prison. I mean, he is probably, and this is saying a lot, he's probably the most scandalous president we've had ever, right? And
I don't think there's a question about that.
Yeah, and like Letitia James, he's so arrogant. he doesn't view his crimes as crimes, so he's going out there and going
Joe
public.
is the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah, exactly. Now, listen, if you'd like to call in, please do. We've covered a lot today. We've got some other things, too, to cover that we haven't touched on yet, and I do want to recap the latest on this MS-13 terrorist that they call the Maryland Man, because Nick from Baltimore called in and gave us some breaking news that has not been reported in the mainstream yet. I want to recap that because the Democrats, boy, they made some mistakes. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Now, in the last hour, I was telling you guys, last night I was editing the video of our cruise that I'm going to put online in a few days. And we've been back, I don't know what, about a week and a half, right? We've been back a week and a half. And I'm looking at this video from the cruise, and I can't believe how much weight I've lost since the cruise. And where I see it's in my face in the video, right? And I was going through this video last night. I was like, oh my goodness. Even in the last week and a half, I'm still losing weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It is absolutely amazing. I've lost, I don't know how many pant sizes. My stomach is completely flat. I've got the body that I had when I was 21 years old now, and I'm still losing weight. Eating the foods I would normally eat. I'm not taking any drugs, no Ozempic, none of that stuff. And I'm doing zero exercise. And it works. And those of you that were on the cruise, I was eating what you were eating, right? Ordering right from the menu. And I was even having desserts, okay? It's absolutely amazing. You can do it too. And, the belly is what the face, neck, and belly. I didn't realize how puffy and round my face was until I see these old videos of me. I saw a video of me from 3-4 months ago, and my face is completely round. Now it's, I got a chiseled jaw. And my stomach, I just thought that was just part of growing older, that all guys have that, I don't know, what do you call it, that tire around the way, whatever. I didn't think I'd be able to lose that. It's gone. It's gone, and I have definition in my body now without any exercise, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. If you want to lose 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 150 pounds, or even more, give them a call. They can help. Now, I'm going to give you the number. When you call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. All right, if you'd like to call in, we'll take our break. We'll take some calls when we get back. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. We'll be right back. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
All right, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Steve Kane here. You know what I wonder, Steve? Pam Bondi is going to send Kash Patel's FBI agents to go interview Letitia James about this mortgage fraud, right?
Right.
Do you think she'll lie to federal agents that she didn't do it, that these documents she signed, she didn't sign them? Because that's another major federal crime. Right? That seemed to be the Biden Justice Department was putting people in prison all the time for lying to federal agents. Oh, this.
I think she's got more trouble than she can imagine.
See, the reason I love this story so much, she's one of the big evildoers of the lawfare, and these are documents that she can't refute. I mean, they're there, and she signed them. So we got the evidence in our hands. It's like a present. It's an Easter basket with a bow and chocolate and everything.
It would appear that she's toast.
Yeah, she's going to go to prison. She's going to
But I want to know about this new trend. The guy the Democrats are going down to visit today in prison.
Oh,
what's his name?
The Maryland man.
Yeah.
I'll give you the updates on him, but let's take a call or two, and then I'll give you the updates on him because Nick in Baltimore gave us a big scoop on him today that I looked up. So let me.
I heard that. It's an interesting story.
It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, this is Will from Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Will from Ohio.
Yeah, I'm calling in because I guess I'm a little bit confused about what we were talking about with the deportation of the guy in El Salvador.
Yeah. What are you confused about? Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? You cut out for a second.
What are you confused about?
I'm confused why Republicans aren't upset about this.
Why would we be
We're
upset?
Yeah. We're upset. What makes you think we're not upset?
Well, because this still is a complete.
We're upset that the
punch in the
Democrats,
face to due process.
This guy is a thug, a major thug to say the least.
Terrorist.
And you guys you don't care about his victims and all the victims of Americans that have been victimized by the crime that goes on down there that has moved into the United States now with the help of the Democrats. We're astounded that you guys lack of morality.
You know, Steve, I think what this, you know what I think might be the problem, Steve? I think this guy from Ohio just isn't up to speed. He's got that due process talking point. There were two federal immigration judges.
Not a talking point.
Yeah, there were. You say due process. There were two federal immigration judges who said he's MS-13, deport him. So I mean, how many judges do you have to go through?
You said we weren't upset. We are upset. We're upset with you. Is what the problem is. Why would you want to bring us back to the United States
Steve,
to prey upon?
I don't know who you are. All I hear you is mumbling, dude. You just keep mumbling over me. Let me talk if you want someone to talk on the phone.
No, you're mumbling while I'm talking.
Two federal
judges that said bring him back.
Two federal judges, immigration judges.
9 Supreme Court judges.
That's not true. That's not true. First off, first of all, no. The Supreme Court did not say what you said they said. The Supreme judges don't tell the president what to do. The Supreme Court said this.
In fact, the opposite, I think.
Yeah,
the Supreme Court basically said that the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction in
Supreme Court
South America.
Puts a check on the president.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. The president does not answer to federal judges.
The unitary executive theory is not
the unitary executive theory. Oh my goodness!
It does not exist.
Okay, the Supreme Court said this. The Supreme Court said this in a 9 to nothing. They said that federal courts do not have authority over the president and foreign policy decisions. This President Trump declared MS-13 a terrorist organization. 2 immigration judges.
There's no proof he's MS-13.
Yes, there is. 2 federal immigration. Back to the talking point. 2 federal immigration judges said he's MS-13 and he's out. So, I mean, how many judges do you need to go to?
Proof he's MS-13. The only person that ever said he was MS-13 was an informant. And I don't think you trust informants as much as I don't trust informants.
I trust informants. And by the way, this guy's wife, now we find out that this guy's wife says that he beats her up. She went to court and got a domestic violence charge against him. So he's a member of a terrorist organization. He beats his wife.
We don't know he's a member of a terrorist organization.
Yes, we do. He's a member of him. You don't know, but everybody else does.
You don't know that. I'm not saying I know it. I'm saying none of us know it. I'm not in denial.
And he beats and his wife and his wife says he beats her up. Why would you?
Buddy.
You don't trust his wife now?
You're scapegoating so hard right now.
If anybody out there has a copy of the judgment, I'd love to have them read it.
I'll read it to you.
The Supreme Court voted 9-0, saying that the Supreme Court of the United States has no jurisdiction over another country.
Yeah, so this guy, he is a citizen. He is a citizen of El Salvador. The president of El Salvador has him in his prison. So is President Trump supposed to send the Delta Force in, break into the prison, and kidnap this guy?
We are paying.
We're paying
that prison.
Once again, a deluded liberal showing that there is no truth to the rumor that the denial is not just the river in Egypt.
Let me tell you what the problem is here with the left, okay? And why, on this program, we love to hear from people who disagree with us. We do. And you hear, that's why we take the call screenless. But the liberals that are calling in are just lying. The guy went between...
wait. It's one of 2 things. They may not be lying. They may be actually that ignorant that they don't know the facts.
Well, then we share the facts and they ignore them.
They're in denial.
They have a talking point. There's 2 talking points. 1, no due process. He went before 2 federal immigration judges who said he's MS-13. That's it. The other one is, well, where's your proof that he's MS-13? It's not up to us to prove it. 2 federal judges said he was MS-13. It was in their courtrooms. That's it. Those are the 2 talking points. And no matter how much you tell these Democrats that, they say, oh, no due process, 5th Amendment, and this amendment, and that, and where's your proof? It's that old saying that you have. Talking to them about this is like playing handball off a wet mattress. It just goes around in a circle of nowhere because they're condescending and lying. I think they're lying. That's my view. Now, I want to tell people about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. This laser wave pain treatment, I think about all the time what I'd be like if we never met Dr. Appleton. I'd be in so much pain, Steve. I'd have arthritis in my knee and my hand. My shoulders would be useless. I'd basically be laying down in bed, broadcasting from bed. I am living a pain-free life. Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain 7 times. I've met so many of our listeners in the 2.5 years Dr. Appleton has been with us that are also living pain-free. I was talking earlier, I thought, a belly was just part of growing older. Then I found out it's not, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss. I thought the same thing with pain. I thought aches and pains were just part of growing older because I remember my grandparents. Well, when my grandparents were around, Dr. Appleton wasn't out there with his laser wave pain treatment. Suffering and pain is not a part of growing older. Go see Dr. Appleton. You know, his laser wave pain treatment, there's no shots, no injections, no drugs, no downtime. It's 100% painless, and it works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, hold on. Oh. It's Trump derangement syndrome.
Oh, it sure is.
That's what it is. I
in
mean,
full bloom.
Yeah.
In full bloom.
Yep. Imagine federal judges telling Ronald Reagan he couldn't take on Gorbachev. I mean, it's
right. Maybe the Democrats will come in with guns blazing and break them out. Break the guy out.
I hope that they... hold on. Hold on a second. All right. Are you there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I hope that Cory Booker and all them go down there and their president doesn't let them in the country.
Oh, then I agree with you. I think that was a great prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to let them in.
No way. They're trying to start a prison riot at a prison full of terrorists. It's like it's like a prison full of Al Qaeda. They're going to start a riot.
Yeah.
Okay. Stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here, and the Democrats continue to support a terrorist wife beater. It's bizarre. All right, let's take some more of these calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys. How are you today? If Jonathan Turley has come out and said he's reviewed the paperwork on this case...
Oh, you're talking about Letitia. Letitia, yeah.
Yeah, Letitia James. There's definitely something there. I mean, he's the guy as far as the legal media analyst out there, and I always valued his opinion. I've watched him quite a bit. I'm not sure if he's a Democrat or not. I'm thinking he is, but I'm not sure. But if he came out, because his rep is on the line, this will be a high-profile case, I think. There's definitely something there. Definitely.
Well, you know, this story came out a little more than 2 months ago, and I saw it. It was in the conservative media, and I saw the story about the father.
Yeah.
I didn't go public with it because you talk about something like that, that's almost like incest, right? She said her father was her husband to get the... And I needed to see it in a more mainstream or media outlet before I went public with it. Jonathan Turley went over it on Fox, Politico, which is left-wing. They're reporting it.
Yeah.
So the documents are there. I say she's going to prison.
I would think so. He is, like I say, his ref's on the line, and he seems to be a square shooter. And I mean, most of the time, I think he's impartial when he's rendering his decisions on television. But that's a big thing. I think she's cooked. I have two quick other points. Now, I think I heard yesterday that the lead investigator into Hunter Biden as far as financial crimes, did Trump just appoint him as head of the IRS?
That I don't know.
Did you see that anywhere? Okay.
I don't know.
One other quick one. Harvard has a $58 billion endowment, and they were supposed to get another $2 billion from the government. And I think Trump put the kibosh on that. We're talking our tax dollars for this, funding this school.
You know, Harvard.
This is ridiculous.
You know what that money is for? Is Harvard's a deep state college, right?
Yes.
So that money is for the NSA, CIA, deep state programs at Harvard. Okay, that's where they do all their, that's one of their recruitment centers and training centers. So that's, that's what that money's for.
This is just outrageous when we see these numbers and who these numbers are going to. I mean, how much are all these Ivy League schools getting in total?
Yeah.
A $58 billion endowment for these guys? Or
I'm really looking forward. President Trump's cutting off funding for PBS and NPR. Republicans have been talking about that since the 80s. There's, the thing about PBS, public broadcasting, they're not players anymore. When I was a little kid in the 70s, we watched PBS all the time for Sesame Street and stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't have Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or the Cartoon Network. There was no place for little kids to go for programming. Now there is. There's no purpose. Right. Public radio is basically Hamas radio. If you listen to it, it's one of the most anti-Semitic outfits out there ever. It's like Radio Free Hamas.
Definitely anti-Semitic too.
Yeah.
Harvard and Columbia.
Absolutely.
The big Ivy League schools, but all right. It's just the numbers in that is a disgrace, and where it's going is even a bigger disgrace.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. Good to talk to you. Take care.
You're welcome.
I'll tell you what the next thing I'm looking forward to is Cory Booker and these Democrats that are talking about leading a delegation to El Salvador to go to this terrorist supermax prison to free.
That happens this morning, I believe.
Are they flying there this morning? I'm not sure if they've announced.
I do believe so.
Yeah,
I think it happens sometime today.
Well, what they're talking about doing is going to a prison filled with terrorists, Trinidad de Agua and MS-13. These are terrorists, international terrorists, because they're from countries all over Latin America. And what they're suggesting is they're going to stand out in front of the prison. They'll probably take the guy's wife, right? And basically try to start a prison riot of prisoners that are terrorists. I mean, it's very.
That's why your prediction is right. They're not going to let the meeting occur.
I don't think the president of El Salvador is going to let them in the country.
He's not.
I don't think
he's not going to let them in the prison. That's for sure.
If they land, which they could deny. It depends if they go down there on a charter flight or commercial, but these are Democrat members of Congress. You think they'll fly commercial? I doubt it. There's not enough first-class seats for the whole delegation. See, what they want to do, and they've got in their mind, they don't understand what world they're in anymore. They want to go down there.
They're in denial again.
Yeah.
There's so much denial going on here over and over again.
Well, what they have is they think that they're going to go to El Salvador and set up a camp out in front of this prison, and they're going to have.
Let me ask you a question. I got a question that I think is very key here. Are they ever going to pass something that where they're the favorite in the issue? For example, we always say about the 80-20 phenomenon, the fact that we always seem to end up with the 80% popularity on every issue. Have they ever picked an issue where they were the majority percentage?
Not lately.
Not ever.
Well, right now it's pretty bad though, because these are, this MS-13 Maryland man. Okay, now we got the documents from the court of his wife saying that he's a wife beater. So he's a member of a terrorist organization. He's a wife beater. And this is who they're advocating for. This is, let me tell you, this was not a well thought out position by the left. None
of the people have taken advantage of that yet.
Well, the domestic violence story is new. That's new. Okay, you got to give.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Because it's like with Letitia James, it's a document signed by the guy's wife. She's on television having press conferences, calling him Father of the Year and wishes he was home for Easter and all this stuff. But she's in court saying he beats her up. And she signed off. Now, either maybe she lied to the judge. I don't know. But it's, we've got the court documents. This is, there are certain things you just can't deny.
Some enterprising journalist who's not intimidated to make that public today.
I hope. It wasn't that hard to find. It took me, I think, 4 seconds to find it when I searched for it. Maybe 5, And so that's that. But I'll tell you this. That story will get out. But the Democrats are so married to this guy now and to this story, they'll never walk it back. No matter what comes out.
Something, but I don't know if I want to repeat something because I want to make sure it sinks in with everybody. The whole story is amazing, but what's really amazing is when you think about it, the Democrats on every single one of the major issues has never been on the winning side in this whole election cycle.
No.
Not one time.
No.
They're always on the 20% side.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I saw Bernie making a speech yesterday with his girlfriend there.
AOC,
and they were saying how they think they're on the winning side on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really in outer space.
Well, they live in this Trump-hating bubble where everybody hates Trump. So they don't realize how fringe they are. They just don't. They just don't. But what they want to do is set up a camp outside this prison with Democrats and Code Pink and activists and the wife and stand out in front of this prison for the next 6 months. And that's just not going to fly.
No, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. No. And you know what? More and more is going to come out about this guy. Right? Now, we already got the wife with the domestic violence. More and more is going to come out about this guy. And we're going to find out other crimes that he's committed. But they're married to him. So they're going to have to. Democrats do not have the ability to admit they've been wrong about something. That's one of their biggest flaws. I've never known the Democrats to walk something back and say, "Oh no, we were wrong about that," and they're just married to this guy. Our number is toll free 1-888-465-2631. The Trinidad de Agua guys from that Colorado apartment complex from a few months ago. Those guys are in the El Salvador prison too. Remember those guys? They came in. Yes. They came in with the rifles. They got them. They're in El Salvador. Maybe they're cellies with the Maryland man. But that video footage, that dramatic video footage, was taken from a doorbell camera. And you may remember in the Malibu fires, there were a lot of fires you were seeing in people's front yards. Those videos of those fires were taken from people's doorbell cameras. And Sloman's is going to give you a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. And this doorbell camera connects directly to your cell phone. Sloman's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. They're going to give you an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for your doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Plus, you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. It's an incredible deal, and the number to call is the easiest number to remember. This also makes a great gift for your mom, your dad, your adult kids. 1-800, or yourself in your own home too. Makes a great gift for yourself. 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, now we'll go to the phones after the gold report in a couple minutes because we don't have time for any calls. That would be meaningful. But I'd like to hear a Democrat respond to a couple things. I'd like to hear a Democrat respond to the mortgage fraud allegations made against Letitia James, claiming her father was her husband on a mortgage. That's crazy. I wonder if she did that before. I've never heard of someone doing that. That sounds like, most criminals, what they do is a pattern. They do the same crime over and over again. I'd like to hear a Democrat comment on that. And I'd also like to hear a Democrat comment on the fact that this so-called Maryland man, that his wife went to court and told a judge that he beats her up. That's the wife talking. So I'd like to hear how you process that on the left. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. After the Gold Report, we'll go right back to your call. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. We'll take our break and be right back. Hey there. Hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to conference William in, and then we'll take calls after that. All right, William, hold on. We're not quite back yet. Stand by. Okay, 30 seconds. No, these calls are real. All right, we are back, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with today's look at the gold and precious metals markets. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
The metals are looking amazing, Brian. The rally continues on gold to all new record highs again today. Yesterday, we saw gold trade in a range of $3,208 all the way up to $3,235, closing out the day at $3,229.10. which was up $20.10. Silver gained 2 cents yesterday at $32.28 the ounce. Platinum was up $10 at $9.58, and palladium was up $19 at $960. But everything's hotter today like you can't believe. Gold trading in a range overnight, $32.27 all the way up to $3,318 the ounce. Right now we're up $81.90 on gold at $3,310 the ounce. Did you hear right? $81.90, $3,310 per ounce for gold.
Crazy.
Silver up 76 cents at $33.05 the ounce. Still running at about a 100-to-1 ratio to gold. Platinum up $8 at $9.66. And palladium up $2 at $9.62. So gold is heading for that $4,000 number probably quicker than I thought. But our prediction for this year was only $3,400 on gold, and we're almost there already.
Wow. You know, gold and silver are flying off the shelves, but everything's available for immediate delivery at William Youngerman's. And that's very important. And you know, William Youngerman, you know, you do something that's very unique in your industry that we don't talk about enough, I don't think. You will buy back anything that you sell. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Absolutely. For 60 years, we've made a two-way market on anything we sell, actually. If we sell it, we're willing to buy it back at whatever the current market is. And that gives you an absolute positive guarantee of always having a place to sell your liquid assets, like what we're talking about. And so we're finding people coming in, and we had one Steve Kane listener come in yesterday and literally just praising us for listening to us on the radio show over the years, and following the advice, and then coming in, he says, man, I desperately needed money this week, and gold was the last thing I was going to sell, but because I listened to you, we have the money that we're going to need for medical issues right now. So a lot of people are starting to realize the importance of having a store of value, and they continue to ask, when should I sell my gold? And I tell them, only when you have a better place for the money.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you need the money, you know you can get the cash in hand with William Youngerman. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. His phone number, and remember, you can do all your transactions over the phone, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010, and find both his phone number and address on his website, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll touch base tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. These gold prices are insane, Steve.
It's amazing.
Remember, gold was $435 an ounce when William Youngerman joined us, and now we're over $3,200. So
I remember the day.
Yes, don't rub it in. But that's.
I remember begging you, make room for gold in your drawer.
Yeah, well,
and
remember
what you said?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said gold's been around for 5,000 years. It's $435 an ounce. How much higher can it go? Oh my goodness! I was like Albert Brooks in Defending Your Life.
Question.
Yes. All right. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Steve and Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
JJ, how are you?
Doing good, Steve. Doing good. Hope everything goes well for you, Brian, with the wife. And
yes, thank you.
Going good with you, Steve. We can add one more to the list. The terrorist MS-13 wife beater, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I mean,
now keep in mind, they keep saying, what evidence do you have? His wife went to court and said he beats me up. Help me, Judge.
Yeah, and so there's court documents there. I mean, listen, he came here in 2012 illegally. And, from there going forward, I mean, he went to, due process, life, liberty, property, deprived. Go in front of a judge is due process, guys. That's the Fifth Amendment.
Do you think Venezuela's going to let
El Salvador.
committee of Democrats in?
El Salvador.
No. Do I think? Yes, Steve. You know what? Listen, that's an interesting question. El Salvador letting him in. I think. Sometimes people like to, they like to go to the zoo and watch, and throw peanuts at the, to the little snacks to the zoo.
No, but let me tell you, this president of and I was talking yesterday, Steve, you weren't here, but
doesn't play.
This guy from El Salvador, the president of El Salvador, this is the first time that I know of where America's had a true ally who did something to help America for totally selfless reasons. We've never had another country help us like this. This guy, this is a prison filled with terrorists. The president of El Salvador says so. There's no way.
That was a very, very good analogy, Brian, that you made the other day when you brought that up. Because look, he, I was racking my brain going back through history. And he's the first.
Yeah, there's no way that he's going to let Cory Booker and AOC and all these idiot Democrats incite a riot outside of his terrorist prison in El Salvador. There's just no way he's going to allow that.
God, no. Hell no, that's not going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. They're putting the show on here, but it's kind of it's a crazy thing the Democrats doing. But when they're going crazy, good, keep going crazy, because this guy, the reason why we found out about the MS-13 is the last court hearing he had, he asked for bond. Mm-hmm. And because of that, the immigration judge reviewed the evidence, okay? Not just the CI, but all the evidence, and found that it showed that he was a verified member of MS-13.
Correct.
Okay, not only that, he's a flight risk because he has a history of failing to report.
And don't forget, he beats his wife. And he beats his wife.
But when he realizes that he's going to go, that he's going to get deported, he's got all these illegal, immigrants. They don't think it's going to happen to them because under Joe Biden, they could do anything. He could break all the laws, and nobody was getting, but now it's different. But when he realized he was going to go, that's when he came up with the Barrio 18 story. The 18th Street Gang is going to kill me. That's when he came up with that. But here's a little Mona Lisa Vito treat for you. If the guy is worried about being killed by a rival gang, because that's what the withholding order is about, well then, from the rival gang, so you mean you are MS-13?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you another thing. What we're going to start to find, because now we already got another crime, the domestic violence. We're going to find other crimes with this guy are going to be revealed. And the Democrats are so married to him, they're too deep to walk it back. They'll never walk it back.
Yeah, they have a problem with walking anything back. They love, damn the torpedoes, full stupid ahead. And that's all they have right now. The Democrats are destroying themselves.
Well, I tell you something. Yesterday, just to switch gears a little bit. Yesterday, Dan Bongino posted on X. He was talking about that he's been hearing the frustration that people have that they're not seeing any action with the lawfare arrest, and he says, "No action is not inaction." Okay, he says there's a lot of things going on that you're not privy to, and I bet you one of them is this Letitia James case.
Oh yeah, there's that, and there's many other. I mean, they committed so much crime, but listen, there's a lot of normal people at the top. I mean, we've got good, honest, normal people at the top of the FBI and the DOJ, but we've still got, the government in general is full of liberals and globalists, and that's what, when it comes to this particular case with Abreu Garcia. Stephen Miller made a point of saying that the Democrat lawyer sabotaged the paperwork, and he was relieved of duty. So one of the reasons why Bongino and Cash and Bondi have to be very methodical is because I believe that the Biden administration and the DOJ and the NSA, the CIA, these guys have little IEDs. They have little things. They're trying to set the DOJ up to arrest somebody on, and then the Democrats will plaster it all over the media.
Yeah.
That the Republicans, they arrest people for nothing and all that.
Yeah. Their first arrest has to be an airtight case. Has to be airtight. And no question.
Here's the thing about criminals, Brian. I think criminals never think they're going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And they forget a lot of stuff. Letitia, they forget a lot of things. I can't believe, but there's a lot of the Sal Alinsky point you made, the projection.
Yeah.
So, the reason Letitia charged Trump with this because she's very familiar with how it works and how to do it because she did it herself.
So she really put together a prosecution based on her own crimes.
Correct. She knew all the laws because she probably looked at all this. I can get away with this. I can get away with that. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute, I can get Trump on this. And she didn't think, nobody thought Trump was going to get elected again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they went full bore.
No, this is great.
They never have to deal with Trump.
This is great.
Big Daddy's back,
and I like, and by the way, thanks for the call. And I'll tell you, Steve, if you've watched Pam Bondi with these Tesla terrorists, like she got the Tesla terrorist, the guy with the blue lipstick the other day.
Purple.
Yeah, purple. I've never seen a man with purple. Well, he kind of looked like Rocky Horror Picture Show, that guy, but fat.
Yes.
But the thing about if you watch these arrests, she prosecutes them to the full extent of the law and makes no deals. And I expect the same thing with Letitia James. Now, I got to tell you, Steve, there's two big incredible deals and sales going on with Mike Lindell at MyPillow with our promo code Kane at checkout. The Percale sheets, which I have these sheets, they're spectacular. They got an incredible sale going on. Any size, any color, just $25. Okay, there's 11 colors to choose from, and that's any size $25, whether it's a twin, a queen, a king, a split king, even a California king. New set of MyPillow sheets, just $25. Any color, any size. Again, there's 11 colors to choose from. And free shipping on orders over $75. So if you buy 3 sets, you got free shipping on that. And you got 3 great sets of sheets. Mike Lindell also has a brand new energy drink. It's called Rev 7, okay? There's no sugar and no caffeine, so you don't get the shakes, you don't get the jitters, you don't get the crashes. And he's got an incredible offer with our promo code Kane. You can get if you go to mypillow.com, you'll see this offer. you can get, for a limited time, an introductory 3-pack of the new energy drink from MyPillow absolutely free with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. Great deals from the great Mike Lindell. Well, we're just getting nonstop news 24/7 from President Trump. And I didn't even get to everything today. But by tomorrow, there's going to be 10 news stories.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. But
and over the weekend, it looks like the Iran thing is going to blossom over the weekend.
Oh, and he's about to sign the peace treaty with Russia. I mean, this is, we're entering an incredible era. We're in an incredible era, and you want to enjoy it, guys, because there'll never be another Trump. Okay? We're going to have other MAGA presidents, but there'll never be another Trump. These are the good times. Enjoy them, okay? Because they are, there's something to enjoy. But we'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Tomorrow's going to be Thursday already. The week is flying by. You're, of course, listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Is that amazing? 48 years on the radio, The Steve Kane Show. Absolutely amazing. We'll be back live tomorrow with the latest news at 6 a.m. with your calls. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, is here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We've had some great calls today. The liberals this week, though, I really think you got to get some new talking points because your talking points are very, very dated. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'm Brian Steve Kane here. Take care. God bless America. All right, guys. Listen, I gotta run, but thanks for tuning in. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. All right, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.